Thank you. Dr. Kohli just called me beautiful. This morning, we are continuing our coverage on National Sleep Awareness Week. There is a new study showing that sleep apnea could impact our cognitive health.
Like we've been saying all morning, sleep is so important for everything in our life. Joining us this morning to talk about this study is our 9 News health expert, Dr. Payal Kohli. Clearly, I'm not getting enough sleep. It's the time change that has totally done me in since then. So talk about what is sleep apnea, because it doesn't necessarily mean you have bad sleep. It's something even more.
In fact, exactly that. You could be sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night, and the quality of the sleep is really poor because you're not breathing. Apnea means lack of breathing during sleep, and there's 2 types of sleep apnea. So one is called obstructive, meaning something is getting in the way of the air getting in. Usually it's your tongue, but if you think about it, when you lie down, especially on your back, your neck muscles can relax a little bit too much, especially as we get older and the tissue gets a little more stretchy, or we gain a little bit of extra weight. It can pinch off the airway, almost like pinching off a straw, so that the air is not getting in. A lot of people that have that manifest with snoring. But there's also something called central sleep apnea, where your brain forgets to breathe. And this can happen if you use alcohol close to bedtime, you take Benadryl, you take any of these other types of substances that can change the way that your brain breathes. Now, that doesn't have any symptoms with it.
Absolutely, and there's a big reason we're talking about this. I have sleep apnea. I'll disclose I have no problem with that. This is more than just it causes you to snore. This can really cause some serious health problems if you don't address your sleep apnea.
It can, and sometimes it sneaks past you. Like someone like you is not somebody who is heavy or someone you would think would have sleep apnea, may or may not snore, but it can be associated with heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, liver dysfunction, even problems like car accidents, poor performance at work, depression and mental health issues, and our cognitive health.
Talk about this study and how it's linked to dementia as well.
This is really alarming because we used to think you have to have at least moderate or severe sleep apnea in order for it to affect your cognitive health. But this was a study just came out in JAMA Neurology, almost 6,000 adults without dementia. They kind of followed them over time. And it's not what stage of sleep you're in that seems to determine your cognitive health. We used to say REM sleep, non-REM sleep, that all matters. But it's more actually whether or not you have sleep apnea, even if it's mild. So these are people that wouldn't otherwise get treated, wouldn't otherwise go to the doctor. But those that had sleep apnea had worse cognitive health and a higher risk of dementia. Now we're learning a lot about how sleep and our brain health works because we know that our brain restores itself during sleep. So we're talking about the inflammation created with sleep apnea. We're talking about the lack of oxygen because people's oxygen levels can go down to 50, 60% at night and how that can damage the brain. But we're also talking about critical periods in our life. So I'm talking about kids, I'm talking about when our brain is developing, I'm even talking about older adults. And bad periods of sleep and sleep apnea during those periods can lead to cognitive decline.
Now, this is an important question. I want all our friends at home to pay attention to this one. How would we know if we have sleep apnea?
So if you sleep alone, it's a lot harder. But if you sleep with somebody, sometimes your partner will tell you, you stop breathing, you kind of wake up gasping for air, you look like you're not breathing or you're snoring excessively, and then you kind of catch yourself. So when you catch yourself snoring, it's not the snore that wakes you up, it's the lack of oxygen to your brain that's actually triggering an alarm sensation that's waking you up. But if you sleep alone, sometimes you'll wake up with a dry mouth, you'll wake up with morning headaches, or sometimes people will say, I kind of wake up short of breath, gasping for air, like almost like I choked on my spit, or, you know, like I couldn't catch my air. And really, again, what that is, the lack of oxygen that's waking you up.
And I gotta say, I always thought I was getting good sleep, and then I got told I snore like a freight train, and that's how we found out about it. So even if you think you're getting good sleep, you might have it.
Yeah, it's so important to get it checked out. Thank you so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. And you can find all of Dr. Kohli's appearances on 9news.com/Dr. Kohli. And